And we have a real treat for you today. We are broadcasting live from the Echo North American Impact Center. It's a large farm, a sustainability farm in North Fort Myers, Florida. And this place is just amazing. I'm going to let Jay tell you more about it.
I'm more of a show rep. Hi guys, so as I just tried to mention before internet went down, I'm a show more than tell kind of person. So here is a little hut here, and we are on a tour, and if they're open this coming Tuesday, also Friday and Saturday during this season, and we are passing by the rice crops right here and learning more about sustainability and farming. We just went through one of my favorites is jackfruit, and let me show you a little bit here. What kind of fruit is that, guys? And let us know where you're tuning in from, and if you have any of these crops in your farm or your home, and how do you care for them, and during this season, what are the best fruits and vegetables to plant during this season, as we're learning and sharing with you guys a little bit of sustainability, farmland, soil, crops, and things of this nature. We'll take you on a tour with us, so if you want to join us in this journey here of a tour at the Echo Farm.
Show them the papaya.
Right here.
Show them the papaya.
Let me have this, hand this over here.
You can show them the papaya? Check out the papayas right here. These things are beautiful. And this plant over here, you can take the leaves off and make tea out of it. It's called cranberry hibiscus.
Anyway, because the soils tend to be saturated for much of the season, and you want to grow something other than just rice, having some vegetables in that to add to your diet can be quite beneficial. And in order to get along and get more vegetable production in areas where soils tend to be saturated, is using some raised bed technology. Very simple. You can kind of pile this up, and what that allows for is you can keep the roots of your vegetables a little drier by having these raised beds there, because the water tends to just all go down into the trenches.
Do you grow like rice in the trenches or not? Do you grow rice in the trenches?
No.
Just like open?
That's quite an idea.
Try it. Let me know how
we should maybe try it. I like that. I'll mention that to the farm manager. Yeah. But again, this is another nice technology that works really well in the tropical lowland.
And might and rice.
Yeah.
Okay. Look at the water butterfly.
Before we leave the lowlands, I'll just point out real quickly our moringa tree here. And moringa, who's heard of moringa before? Okay, definitely. Moringa is our champion tree, our champion plant, because number one, it grows in very difficult conditions, primarily drier parts of the world. But we like moringa so much, it's actually part of the Echo logo. I don't know if you can kind of see the leaves and the logo. But the deal with this, number one, it grows in difficult places, and those are often places where food insecurity is a problem, and childhood malnutrition is a huge problem. And so this is Moringa oleifera. We do have some growth where we propagate as much moringa seed as we possibly can, but a half a cup of moringa will provide you with 250% of your daily need of vitamin A, C, and this is my cheat sheet. A, C, and calcium, and then 674% of.
Did you hear that?
Anyway, a half a cup with all of that nutrition.
Wow.
How do you eat it
Means
raw?
you
Or
don't
do you
need to use a whole lot, but you can eat the leaves raw. Since this one is pretty small, I'll wait and feed you some moringa on our big African moringa tree a little bit later.
Moringa, we're gonna get to have
You can
different
eat the leaves raw,
varieties
you
of
can grind them down
moringa.
into powder,
And there's
and
the
then
rice
they can add it to
patties
porridges and things like
right
that,
there.
especially feed those young kids.
Right here,
Get some good
hibiscus.
nutrition into them early on for those early
Now we'll
fast grow
put your
years
cat
and
in.
brain development and all that that goes along with it. Yeah.
I'm gonna go past that
Anyway,
whatever.
You can't turn around and not talk to him if you ask a question.
What is it called?
I don't know. We'll think about it. We'll ask
we'll-
later.
Fennel or funnel? Something.
Fennel?
Fennel.
Fennel,
Something. Yeah, the purple thing. That's purple and it's
tell you
good.
what, if we
Keep
do,
an eye out.
It's
if
greenish.
we do, you point it out, okay? So,
Excellent.
I'm counting on you to point it out.
What are those down there?
Oh yeah, those are neat. Looks like peppers. Some kind of peppers or something.
There's one that's in Portugal. But I don't think it's that. I think it's Portugal.
Entering tropical highlands.
Okay, we've left the tropical lowlands, we've moved into the tropical highlands. And I think the video pointed that out a little bit, but smallholder farmers, since they lack resources, they don't get to farm the nice big valleys and that. They get stuck on steep hillsides. You know, I talked about this being their bank account, the little plots of land that they have access to. And this is Echo Mountain. I used to say it was the highest point in elevation-wise in South Florida, but I do know the fact that's not the case anymore. But anyway, with this particular mountain, we use this to try to sort out how do you use low-tech ways of stabilizing your soil and reducing soil erosion off of these steep hillsides. If you remember in the video, there was a gentleman that was holding up a clear plastic tube. Okay, in that tube he had some water, and what he was doing was looking across the contour of a field. You know, the slope is like this. He's looking across the contour, and there's water in that tube. And he's sighting the water from one side of that loop to the other side, and then visually trying to identify a fairly consistent elevation level across his field. And so that would be where you start establishing terrace systems that would work on that particular little farm. Echo Mountain was really based on several different methods of building terraces. These terraces on this side of the mountain are pretty cool. You can build them fast, but it takes money. It takes muscle, something that's not necessarily available to a smallholder farmer. So the technologies that we really try to promote as far as how can you build terrace systems on your steep hillsides to stabilize your soil is use grasses, use some deep-rooted trees. And on this side of our mountain, we have a couple different terraces. At the very lowest level, we have a row of Napier grass, and then next terrace up, we have vetiver grass, which has a very deep, dense root system that holds soil really, really well. And so we have some vetiver grass planted along the contour, along with some deep-rooted trees to go along with that. And then over time, soil will kind of pile up behind those rows of grasses, creating flat spots that then the farmer can more effectively use for growing crops.
Awesome.
Any question on terraces in that? Okay. That's how you maintain your bank account. That's how you add value to the land. Especially now, well, especially since once you get your soil stabilized, then you can really start putting some effort into building the productive capacity of that soil. How do you, promoting healthier soil biology through keeping a diverse array of crops growing on there. On some of the terraces I saw in Tanzania, a farmer, he was growing bananas, corn, and cassava all together, which kind of made interesting mix. The cassava for them is sort of a root crop, with the corn putting on ears, and then you got your bananas growing with bunches up higher.
No, literally, what's the overproduction of the crop? And then he has the
Oftentimes, when you visit some of these small farms, you'll find that they keep their livestock fairly close to the house. Their livestock do also represent a significant portion of their wealth. And a little goat house like this too can be a very effective farming practice for a smallholder, because remember, they don't have a lot of land to begin with. And so having a house like this keeps your goats from eating in your garden and out in your field crops, and maybe better yet, they're not out there eating your neighbor's crops and garden. So, it's something to be said for good neighbor relations too. But this would be representative of like a cut and carry system, where a good job for the kids is you give them a machete, they can run up to the forage bank, cut some of the different forages in it that you can see here. And this is kind of rough looking stuff, but it's amazing what goats will eat.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, we can feed the goats with a cut and carry system, and then it also is it easier to collect the manure underneath the goat house then that we can start using to build and create compost using mulches in that farm too. So a very effective tool to keep an idea or keep a watch on the livestock that you do have, and then also reduce the footprint of not having to have extensive grazing areas on your limited acreage for the animal production.
There's Jay.
If any of you had any time to wander around the bookstore, you maybe noticed some of our neem products. Okay, our neem tree here isn't really a food producing tree per se, but it's kind of referred to as the village pharmacy. And this isn't something that someone from the West introduced to a village somewhere in the developing world. This was observation by someone from the West that go, how come the people are picking their teeth with the sticks from that particular tree? How come they're pulling the leaves off and rubbing it on insect bites? How come they're crushing the seeds and making oil out of it that can be used for like a basic recruitment, things like that? And really what we learned is this is the village pharmacy. That's what the people were using to take care of some basic needs that we have in terms of paste and basic expensive. So you get to the bookstore, check it out. We do have some various neem products. You can kind of see how they're used and that sort of things. Okay, now you know everything about neem that I do.
Hi guys, so that is neem tree, and we just saw moringa. So there's lots of different fruits. There's avocado right there, if you guys can see. So, just broadcasting a few little parts of our floor right here.
Okay, another environment of the tropics, it's quite common, and I would say this would be characteristic of significant portions of East Africa, the monsoon region. And this is probably as close to what we have here in Florida as any of the different tropical environments that we focused on with our work around the world. But our monsoon region is set up like a little bitty farm, and again, it's not always easy to manage this just because of the crazy weather we've been having. But in a normal monsoon region, what we often are looking at, and the challenge for farmers, is you have two distinct seasons. You have a hot, dry season with very little rain, and then you have a cooler, wet season. And that can be times of too much rain. And so everything we have set up here is essentially trying to overcome some of those challenges of soils that are too dry and drouthy versus soils that are just too saturated and plants get stunted because of that lack of aeration in the soil. We're on the very outskirts of our monsoon farm here, and it's kind of set up so you have plants and that take very little time and very little maintenance. We have our forage bank just over here. That's where some of our goat food comes from. And then we also have some of our fruit trees. I don't know how much attention that always takes, but if you have your dormant time, you don't have to be wandering in there virtually every day. Now that we've got some jackfruit, we have some strawberry fruit, we have a sapodilla tree here, which is just now starting to set fruit. And sapodillas are kind of like a cinnamony flavored, similar texture as a pear, and very tasty in season. Now, we just finished up with mango season about a month or so ago. We have some sugar cane right here. I was wondering, where did the pig tractors go? They're now working away here in the monsoon region. Again, these are a couple more of our guinea hogs, and another good example of how it's useful to integrate livestock production in with your crops as well. Our little house right there, getting closer to that house, and in doing so, you start planting crops that take additional care. Probably the next thing in would be a field where you would be growing some maybe grain sorghum, some millet, some corn, and that. We harvested our corn in this field here just a short time ago, and then we had some leguminous beans in here too to provide some nitrogen for our corn and that. But evidently they decided it's time to start preparing the land for the next season, and our pig tractors are now here. They're tearing up the ground, doing the tillage. They're eating grubs and roots and that sort of thing, and some of the fodder, probably consuming the rest of the bean crop that was in there, and taking care of the fertility plan for the whole next year, right?
So with the pigs, do you go back?
Yes.
Yeah, these guys are trained to, they don't like the electric fence.
Gotcha. So you move it over until you take out the land, and then it requires less muscle because the pigs are doing it.
Right, yeah, and eventually, we'll pen this area off here too, and then let them go at it.
They're so big. They're well fed.
There's sugar cane, guys, and these are cranberry.
That's a beautiful tree.
And there's some crops
So pretty.
here. What are these, guys?
It's not a beautiful tree.
Let me know if you know what those are. I didn't catch that.
What is that?
I have
We
that
just
tree.
went
I was
over
trying to make
the different.
Try again.
What type of tree is that?
They're beautiful.
Crocon?
Croton.
Croton.
C-R-O-T-O-N.
Thank you.
What they're called. They're really nice.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, they're so colorful, and I just love them, and I've killed 2 already.
Is this a fall color or is that normal?
Always that color.
Okay,
And they thrive in Florida a lot. I just think as mine got way too much water.
nice. Thanks for sharing.
We're being right up next to the house. That's where
Farm
you're going to
is
be growing
the section we're in
vegetables,
right now.
cutting
So
gardens,
just
in your
wanted to
kitchen,
share with you
growing your
guys.
herbs and
So
things
part
like that.
5,
Where
we
you're gonna be
are right here with the sugar cane,
ready to go
and we just passed by the moringa and neem. See what's next. This is the
hot
pasta.
too, so you don't have that close to the
Hi
house.
everyone.
Again, we're using raised beds, just like in the lowland tropics. Raised beds really help out during that wet season when the soils tend to be saturated. But we've also, granted it's not set up right now, but we did have a well system set up where you could pull on that little rope pulley, and we had a big tank sitting on top of those 4 posts. And good job for kids. They can be pulling on that rope to pull water up from the well, fill the water tank, and then it's just gravity from there on out to feed into this. This isn't excess is broken, but drip tape for irrigating. And the nice thing about this irrigation drip tape is you can just place it really close to the plants you want to water and be able to use what you have as far as limited water much more efficiently.
Chicken coop. Chickens.
Again, like our little goat house where I talked about, you want to have your goats close to your living quarters. Our chickens are nice and close to the little farmhouse here. These are turkeys.
I was going to say, they look like turkeys.
They do really, really well here in this hot, humid climate, especially this time of year when the humidity is so high. Distinguishing characteristic with our turkeys is they all have naked necks.
Yeah, they look like a turkey.
Yeah, so that lets them get by and thrive a little better here in this climate where some of these other breeds of chickens wouldn't do so well. But our chickens, they are a breed of chicken. It's a very good meat chicken, a very good egg-laying chicken. I don't know if we have any. There we go. This is where our interns, they can find their breakfast here. And it's still warm, so I can tell it's just been late.
Fresh. Farm fresh.
But, yeah, we kind of like those chickens. But the other thing I want to talk about too is chaya. That's another one of our camping plants. We have a bit of a living fence in front of our turkey pen here. It's all composed of chaya. And you establish that just using cuttings of a chaya plant. It's not started from seed. But it's highly nutritious like moringa, but the big difference where you can eat moringa raw, chaya you need to cook it down a little bit. Layman's term is that it has a fairly high level of cyanide in it.
Ooh.
So you really don't want to be consuming that. But you cook it down and you can add it to stews and soups and things like that and get an awful lot of nutrition out of it that way. A few years ago, some Guatemalan women were here for a conference and they were making chaya tortillas. They were used to using chaya. It grows at a little higher elevation, portions of the tropics in Central America. But they cooked the chaya, they dried it down, they ground it up, added it to their cornmeal, and those were incredibly tasty tortillas, and I'm still here to talk about it. What's funny is our turkeys can eat this stuff raw, and it doesn't bother them. So,
weird.
And maybe that's what gives them the attitude. Because I've been told that raccoons, they kind of like chicken, But I've been told that the raccoon will probably win, but it's going to pay a heck of a price doing it. So.
Yeah, for sure.
We just had a whole conversation about scarecrows.
Say we can hang out here a bit and folks can sit down if they need to sit for a few minutes. But the community garden is for us a real important teaching tool. I spend most of the tour time talking to you all about things going on in a global element, global context, but our community garden is for us an opportunity to have some local impact. The intern that's responsible for our community garden will do trainings here at Echo, Florida. People can come here for trainings associated with different organizations. Also, the intern for our garden here will travel around South Florida and do trainings with school groups, civic groups, churches, and that are interested in establishing community gardens where they happen to be living too. And the other thing that I think is really nifty about our community garden too is we've largely become an urbanized society, and not many of us anymore have come from a rural setting or actually have much hands-on experience with farming and agriculture. It's an opportunity for young people to learn about the simple fact that food doesn't come from the grocery store. It takes a lot of work to get it from a seed to an edible crop and processed into a package in a grocery store. So it's a good way to kind of get young kids introduced into gardening and realizing that this is where our food comes from. So yeah, I really do like our community garden from the aspect that it's an opportunity for some local impact. And that's primarily due to the fact that food insecurity is a problem here in South Florida with some people. That being said, we, especially during the COVID years, we learned that we could help address some of that food insecurity too by using some of our excess production and taking that to food banks and helping out that way too. And I guess the big change that we made during that time is we developed and created our own pool bot so we can harvest, store, and then transport produce and that to people that are struggling to get enough to eat.
Where does Echo get its funding from?
Mostly private individuals. That's where a large part of it. We do get some grants. We do get some foundations. We do have some instances where people will make a contribution out of their estate. And so it's kind of a variety. But good question. You can stay seated there a minute. I'll bring something to you.
We're on this quick tour right now, and we're in the community farm section, and there are some chia.
Bananas.
I'm not sure I really so. I haven't done that. Let's see what we're going to do next here.
Pick a leaf or two.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'll share. Oh, really? Cool.
Is this moringa?
This is African moringa.
Oh, moringa.
It tastes somewhat similar to the moringa olivera. You can eat it raw.
Smells nutty.
Maybe just a tad more bitter than the moringa olivera. But I
Having
more
moringa.
peppery.
Smells like chicken.
It smells nutty, huh? No?
Tastes pretty good. What's moringa?
It just tastes like leaves.
You get your vitamin pill for the day there.
Your shirt's cute. Antisocial butterfly.
But, yeah, this is
Does it?
the moringa.
It's nutty, huh? It smells nutty.
Can you eat the stem?
Moringa.
Can you eat the stem? Yes, you can.
Does it taste any different than the leaves?
Probably.
Essentially, every
All
tender
right,
part of
guys.
the moringa.
Thank you so much for going on tour with us. Today, we'll give you some more updates on some of the plants and sustainability, growing
What?
crops, and water. Some of the things we learned later
We
on
actually
today.
have an area of the farm that is devoted to propagating moringa seed. It'd be the different variety, the moringa oleifera, that we harvest the seed and condition that and distribute.
It is spicy. We found the space.
Is it?
Spicy peanut butter.
Really? Tastes like spicy peanut.